listening to America First Radio.
And we're gonna win, win, win. And we're gonna make America great again.
Here is your host, Paul Adams.
Hello everyone. This special commemorative 9/11 podcast was supposed to have been broadcast yesterday, but due to incredible, unimaginable technical difficulties and health issues, I have to re-upload it today, Monday, September 12th, 2016. Enjoy it. You know, the Statue of Liberty is not standing. She is raising her right heel off the ground as she frees herself from the shackles beneath her. Welcome to America First Radio, where we can have a no-holds-barred civil conversation in the untamed political jungle without maiming each other. Today it's a special edition. It's September 11th, 2016, and I wish to observe 20 seconds of silence to remember the lives lost on September 11th, 2001 and 2012. Thank you. Hillary today collapsed and she had to be hauled away. That's how she celebrated her 9/11. When I saw her being literally dragged into the van, the image of Chris Stevens being dragged from the Benghazi embassy popped in my head. There's a lot to cover here today, Patriots. I welcome you to this very special broadcast. I have a very special segment devoted today to Hillary exclusively, and a new name for her. The namesake is Whore of Babylon. And I know I'm going to be beating a dead horse here, but the nag has got to stop campaigning. Stop, Hillary, stop. On this day in 2001, the United States Constitution was, for all intents and purposes, shelved and replaced with a shadow government, as the War of Terror was inaugurated, the endless war on terror. At the surface, we had a visible puppet government, but secretly there was an unconstitutional cabal that was steering the country. And the war started to profit Halliburton and hundreds of thousands of other private contractors. You know, the thing that convinced me that Mr. Trump was the real deal was when he declared he was going to reopen 9/11. And I'm sure that he believes skyscrapers, and he knows a little bit about skyscrapers. He believes that skyscrapers don't just turn into piles of dust as a result of fires. See, we were made to believe that a plane flying at 520 miles made an incredible 270-degree turn and crashed into the Pentagon without smashing any of the walls or windows at ground level. And, of course, there were 80 cameras surrounding the Pentagon that recorded this event, but none of the tapes have been released. Also, there were no plane parts, no body parts at the scene, so I want a new investigation. We were made to believe that an old 150-foot-long scar on a empty field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, that had already been there before 9/11 was the impact site of the plane crash, which again left no plane parts or bodies. I want a new investigation. We were made to believe that 2 planes crashed into 2 buildings, but 3 buildings came down as a result of fires. I want a new investigation. We were led to believe that cell phone conversations were possible at 30,000 feet. I want a new investigation. We were led to believe that steel beams weighing 20 tons could fly through the air like projectiles, and that pools of molten lava can burn for weeks on end in the basements of the Twin Towers. as a result of the fires. I want a new investigation. You see, no building before or since 9/11 has ever collapsed on itself as a result of fire. So Mr. Trump and I are not the only ones who want a new investigation on 9/11. There are architects and engineers, there are scholars, pilots, firefighters, and scientists, all wanting a new investigation. You see, it's a bit like this. If you're on vacation and you came back and you found your home in a great big heap of rubble, and you were told by the police that a motorcyclist ran through your home, and this is what happened, I think you would want a new investigation. See, the whole world knows that 9/11 was an inside job, and we, poor old Americans, have been bamboozled and bullied by the mainstream media to not question the official 9/11 story. So we got to wake up, America. We got to wake up. And now we are learning that the Luciferian cabals plotted in advance to create a new Pearl Harbor so that Israel could benefit from a destabilized Middle East, and so that the military-industrial security complex and the media complex could profit, and so that we could be stripped of our liberties, and so that we could be ushered into the New World Order, which Papa Bush said was a big idea whose time had come. So 9/11 was a win-win-win for the dark side, but Americans lost. 500,000 innocent Iraqi children died. But if you talk to Madeleine Albright, she'll tell you that was justifiable because, of course, for Luciferians, the ends always justify the means. If you do not believe we need a new 9/11 investigation, there is no hope for you. Let's move on. What I bring to you here is, first of all, a close-up look at current events from a ground zero perspective. For that, I rely on alternative news sources like Alex Jones, Benjamin Fulford, and I always give attribution. I also zoom out to 50,000 feet where we talk about politics in general, or the masters of the universe, and even higher to 200,000 feet to look at the bigger picture from heaven's viewpoint or hell's viewpoint. I believe our spiritual condition extrapolates and manifests itself in our political reality. I don't believe in the false two-party conservative liberal construct. It's a false paradigm. It's a false matrix. I believe only in best practices, policies for America that will allow us to prosper in peace. I believe America is exceptional and is destined to become the beacon of freedom it was always meant to be, and that it needs an overhaul to get to that point. And I talk a lot about that in my new ebook that just came out called Millennial America. And you can download it. It's at myamerica.win. I'm a diehard neo-constitutionalist who believes in a government that is of, by, and for the people as a non-negotiable. I say neo because I believe that if the Founding Fathers were here alive today and were given the opportunity of drafting the Constitution for our day and age, using our technologies, they would have employed the latest cutting-edge technologies and would have come up with a model that resembles direct democracy, as opposed to a representative republic which is fraught with corruption. I don't believe that the Constitution is the purview of constitutional experts only. I believe the Constitution is a social contract which the average person should be able to understand. It is the contract that prescribes terms to the government, not the other way around. It is written at the behest of the people. It is to be understood by everyone. I do not believe that in matters pertaining to social mores, the Supreme Court should be the final arbiter. In matters relating to abortion, immigration, health insurance, gay marriage, all that should be decided upon by plebiscite. That's my take on it. In a nutshell, I'm all in for Mr. Trump. He is our only and last chance. So we need to get this message out, and most people, believe it or not, will be waking up in the middle part of October to this election. They're so preoccupied with shopping and watching football. And for the first time ever in this podcast series, I will ask you to please to follow me on Spreaker. If what I say resonates with you, you will have to maybe first join Spreaker and then follow me. And the reason for this is very simple. Once the show has 100 followers, then I can take the show over to iHeartRadio, where it can be heard by millions of listeners. So let's start with the MSNBC Commander-in-Chief standoff. Rat Lauer, the Clinton shill, I think he's going the way of Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck, and Mark and Levin. What are your thoughts on that? Matt, you're done. By the way, the NBC poll came in right after. They had 81,500 votes. The final result was Donald Trump 63%, Hillary 37%. And this is why I think the billionaires are going to be throwing Hillary under the bus. And they're making her suffer a death of 1,000 cuts. I have a pretty good feeling that people want Hillary out of the race. I'm on Twitter almost 16 hours a day, and a lot of people are just sick and tired of this skank running in this race. They want her to fold. And the time for nice is over. In my humble opinion, it is done. If I was Mr. Trump and I was facing off Mr. Douchebag Lauer, I would have responded to his question about whether I was adequately prepared to be Commander-in-Chief this way. Matt, we all know you worked for the Clinton Foundation, and you're hitting me with hardball questions. You did ask Hillary about her emails, but that was just to get, the dirtiest of the dirty laundry out in the air so that everybody watching can see the audience here sitting nice and quiet, because silence is consent. So I get it, that's fine. But, to answer your question, I feel like my whole life has been a preparation for the role of Commander-in-Chief. I didn't plan it that way, but I have faced off with some of the toughest, most hard-nosed people, and I've built a $10 billion business in 20 different countries. What has Hillary built? While I was building the high-rises, she was destroying entire cities. So compared to the butcher of Benghazi, whose foreign policy has been a dismal failure, whether you look at Egypt, Libya, Syria, ISIS, and who, let's not forget, also reset the button with Russia so that she could sell 20% of our uranium reserves to the Russians through her Clinton Foundation. So compared to her gross negligent behavior in mishandling classified information, compared to her racketeering activity, all that influence peddling to Chinese, Saudi Arabians, compared to her sharing our national secrets with people who are not cleared by the State Department, people like Huma Abedin, George Soros, Sid Blumenthal. Compared to all of that she has done, just the minor espionage, the minor perjury, the obstruction of justice, I think I would do a hell of a good job as Commander-in-Chief. What do you think? And frankly, Matt, I find your question really insulting and condescending. But coming from a Clinton Foundation hack, I understand. So next question. What do you have for me? That would be my way of handling it if I was Mr. Trump. He's being nice. At this point, it really doesn't matter if he's nice or not nice. He's going to win. Well, deplorable does not begin to describe Hillary Clinton. Deplorable compared to what? The bubonic plague? There's been a leak here that she had a massive meltdown. She raged like Hitler for a whole hour. She wanted Matt Lauer to be fired, to be a persona non grata for the rest of his days. I don't know if the source is authentic, but it continues to say that she called in New York Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post, and ordered them to crush Matt Lauer. And staffers described her as an out-of-control psychopath. Of course, that's not the first time. Her Secret Service agent described her as having a volcanic temper. So that's all coming out. I'm not putting a lot of weight to it. If there were corroborating witnesses or an audio clip, then I'd believe it. But, this is coming from the persona non grata herself. And my question to you folks is this. Do you think Hillary is a persona non grata that should drop out of the race? I would love to hear your comments. Just tell me what you think. Tell it like it is. And I will include your comments, up to 4 of them, on the next episode. Just call this number with your comments, 424-354-9788. 424-354-9788. I think that the longer we see her face in public, the more we are legitimizing her. It would be like legitimizing and dignifying Bernie Madoff if he was running for mayor. That's the equivalent. I'll go a step further. Because when you see somebody commit a crime, when you see somebody kill another person and you help that criminal, that individual, with a getaway car and you provide some shelter, when you tell alibis, stories to cover for him, you are an accessory after the fact. You're committing a crime. So the more we dignify Hillary, the more we become accomplices after the fact to her crimes. And silence is consent, okay? Acquiescence here is endorsement. We are saying to the world, here in America, to be criminal is okay as long as you're not indicted. We will endorse such a person for president. So this is how sick we have become. And we didn't just get here overnight. So we have no more time to be nice. When somebody's having a heart attack, you don't politely ask them, "Sir, could I please remove your tie and your shirt?" No, you don't do that. You rip his clothes off and you get to work. America right now is ablaze and in free fall. We need America to wake up. We need all of you to wake up to the shenanigans these globalists, these neocons, these Marxists have been perpetrating on us. Her tactics are becoming so repetitive, so worn out, so old and tired. They're so retro, 1960s. Oh my gosh, okay. She will always accuse her opponent of wrongdoings that she is guilty of. This is kind of like a preemptive attack to neutralize her opponent. So here are some of the attacks that she's been using on Donald. Okay, she attacked him by saying that he's a misogynist and a sexist. And now it's even coming out of Chelsea. And I'm sure they put her up to it. And all we have to do is visit Bill's affairs, his rapes, and Hillary's silencing of the woman that he raped. And also turning her back on Saudi women. She blasts him on foreign policy. She blasts him on being a racist. She accuses him of being linked to the KKK. She blames him for putting our national security at risk. Well, let's see how she measures up in these areas, starting with her foreign policy. It was what? It was like a disaster. What, Iraq? You want to talk about Iraq? Let's talk about Egypt, Libya, Syria. While Trump was building high-rises, she was destroying entire cities. Her only success was the Russian reset button. I already talked about that. What a sweet reset. 20% of America's uranium was now being sold to Russia through her Clinton Foundation network. How is that for a reset? And she accuses Trump of admiring Putin? See how this con woman, Luciferian, Alinsky trash operates? And you also need to listen to Larry Nichols on Alex Jones to give you an idea of her M.O. Larry used to be one of Clinton's hitmen back in the day and is now on his deathbed confessing, spilling the beans. She accuses Trump of being a racist, while her mentor, Obama, has virtually set back the black agenda for 30 years. Because you see, Hillary will promise blacks the moon just to get their votes. Democrats depend on a system that creates dependency to stay in power. We all know that. Just look at what Bummer has done to the economy in the last 8 years. I should say what his puppet master Soros has done through him. People forget that Bill and Hillary compared blacks to super predators or dogs that need to heal. Then she accuses Trump of aligning with a KKK when he has multiple times disavowed connections with the KKK and with David Duke. He doesn't want or need David Duke's endorsement. But see, Hillary's mentor was Senator Robert Byrd, a former high-ranking Klansman. There's also footage of the Klan supporting her financially, officially supporting her. And the most absurd accusation is that Trump is putting our national security at risk. Now, how is that for turning the truth on its head? She throws this out to the low-information voters who are just tuning in at the heels of her epic string of lies which she claimed on 22 separate occasions that she never sent or received classified emails through her server. All a lie. If she never sent or received classified emails, what the hell was she doing for 4 years? That was her job description. That's exactly what she was hired to do. She was designated as the original classification authority, as Secretary of State. She was the one who was in charge of classifying documents. So give it up, Hillary. You know, you stink as a lawyer. You can't even represent yourself. And her server has been hacked by multiple international spy agencies. This means that she was grossly negligent, and her boss, Obama, should be arrested for treason, for even allowing her to transact official state business from an unsecured server, not to mention that he trained in armed ISIS. So he's an accomplice there. He has given aid and comfort to the enemy. WikiLeaks has been leaking that she shared sensitive information with Sid Blumenthal, Hugh Maddison, George Soros. All three were not cleared by the State Department. This by itself is espionage, okay? Obama knew, and he should be arrested for not stopping her. And she's accusing Trump of being careless with handling sensitive information. I mean, this is insanity. What drugs do they put her on? Give me a break. So the new name for Hillary, as I said before, is the Whore of Babylon, a drunk, wanton whore who sold herself to the Chinese, to the Saudis, to the HSBC money launderers, to Lucifer for gain and power. You see, it's very simple. Don't expect the Whore of Babylon to tell the truth. Her MO is deny, accuse, smear, obfuscate, lie, and lie some more, but never, ever give any sign of being caught in a lie. Give no indication that you have been dealt a blow. No matter how they pummel you, stand straight and mock them. Don't let your face or body language signal you've been cornered. Look directly into their eyes, into the camera, and don't blink. Especially don't blink. And lie some more, because only people who blink lie. And open your eyes as wide as possible to convey that your windows to your soul are wide open. And I'm positive, folks, I'm positive. There are days when she tells her puppet masters, I don't know if I can do this. They all know, the whole world knows, I'm tired, I can't do it. Please just drug me into a vegetable state for 3 years. Tell the world I had a stroke. Put me away for 2-3 years, I can't do this. And they, of course, tell her, you know, Hillary, baby, you know, you got it wrong. We own you. You just do as we tell you, because we have no other option at this point. You know, you just need to take the heat and roll with it. You know, the drugs will take their effect. They will keep you together, Hillary. You know, her lies must be eating her up. You know, knowing the whole world knows that she's a liar must be hell. It must be consuming her mind. Let's look at some of the other lies which surfaced when Trey Gowdy questioned FBI Director James Comey, who is also in league with the Clinton Foundation. We don't want to go there. Already done that, been there in a previous episode. But Trey Gowdy asked FBI Director James Comey several questions. For example, she said she never sent or received emails marked classified. Is that true or false? Comey: that's false. She said she used just one device. Comey: that's false. She used multiple devices. She said all work-related emails were turned over to the State Department. Comey: that's false. No. Thousands were not returned at the time of the interview was taking place, and after that there were even more emails being found. She said her lawyers read the content of each email individually. Comey: no, that's false. So here are some of her alibis, and this is from the Secretary of State, who is the original classification authority, the Secretary of State of the most powerful nation on the planet. Here are some of her alibis, some of her excuses. Quote: I didn't know they were marked classified. I relied on the judgment of my staff to send me anything classified. There was no classified header. Plus, she had 13 of her communication devices, that include cell phones, Blackberries, destroyed with a hammer. Who does that? Who does that? Well, maybe if you're a drug dealer, you might do that. You want to wipe off any evidence that you had a conversation with somebody. And she had her emails wiped clean with a special, very expensive process using bleach bed. So, numerous counts of perjury, numerous counts of espionage, numerous counts of obstruction of justice, numerous counts of racketeering, numerous counts of malfeasance, numerous counts of gross negligence at best, numerous counts of assigning blame, like blaming Colin Powell for her use of a private server, and Powell never used the private server. He was no fool. He sent his private emails through a regular Google or Yahoo account, but not state secrets, not government business, through his private email account. And her ascribing the blame to Trump and the Russians for the WikiLeaks, or accusing the GOP of a Republican conspiracy. And the Kabuki theater just keeps going on, and it must stop. Stop. We are giving her the time of day. We are giving her the floor. We are legitimizing her as a presidential candidate by placing her in front of the camera to debate a vetted candidate. Are we out of our minds? There are no protests. It must be the fluoridated water. They don't have fluoridated water in the Middle East. That's why we have so many hotheads down there. Where are the vets? Where are the generals to arrest Obama for treason? Read Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution. Uphold your oath. Is this what America has devolved into? A third-rate banana republic? People on Twitter are sick and tired of seeing her campaigning. Hillary and Soros, just pack it in. It's over. Make your next move, George. Your puppet is damaged goods. She wouldn't last a week in the White House. You see, as long as we don't see any scenes of protest on TV, everything is okay. The sleepwalking public watches, mesmerized, will think that it is okay. Everything is above board. All is clear. As long as we legitimize her and dignify her on major networks as a presidential candidate that is being unjustly scrutinized by a conspiratorial GOP, she will keep attacking Trump for being non-presidential. Make sense? Yes, she did make a token gesture admitting Iraq was a mistake, but this is like Hitler admitting to killing 6 million Jews was a mistake to avoid the firing squad. I made a meme the other day. It is a cover of a Time magazine, and there's a close-up of Hillary. her foot walking past a miniature Lady Justice who has been slain with her sword thrust through her chest. And the caption is, "Can anyone stop Hillary?" And further down the answer is, yes, God. See, God has a different agenda for Hillary. Increasingly, her coughing fits make it translucently clear that Hillary Clinton is not fit. And he will keep waking America up by hacking her. By middle of October, the fits could increase in intensity and frequency. Hillary's health and America's future is in God's hands, and prayers always, always trump any hexes put out by witches. And don't think for a minute there aren't warlocks and witches who are working overtime, invoking Lucifer's powers. I would not be surprised if many of them were occupying the hallways of Congress. And some of them are disguised. They appear as pro-Trump trolls. But they are really wicked, demonic witches. So Hillary will continue to be hacked by God. And if you want to see all my memes, you can go to @zip90210.club. That's @zip90210.club. AT, not the symbol at, but AT. Mr. Trump rightly said that he has more respect for Putin than Obama. At the G20, Obama was all but dismissed and snubbed. So what is wrong with Trump showing respect for another world leader, especially when you'll be the next in line to negotiate with him? See, it's okay for Hillary to offer a reset button to Putin, but not for Trump to extend the hand of friendship, right? When you see Obama coming out of the airplane at the tarmac for the G20, they didn't even have a regular set of stairs. And when they did put a set of stairs, they were not red carpeted stairs. All the other leaders got red carpeted stairs except him. And he was greeted by young, low-level Chinese bureaucrats. You see, how can you respect Obama, who openly admits to training ISIL on a video, who couldn't or wouldn't do to ISIL in 18 months what Russia did in 3 weeks, when he's handing over the internet to the United Nations on October 1st, just in time for the elections? How do you respect such a traitor? How do you respect a putz who play golf while his people are drowning in the worst flood in American history? How do you respect a president who says about Americans that they are lazy, soft, and have lost all ambition? How do you do that? You can't. Even Argentina's president last year called Obama a traitor. And General Michael Flynn and other top brass have called him out for arming and aiding ISIS. He is a traitor, and the Constitution makes provisions for arresting traitors. Again, read Article 3, Section 3. Takes 2 witnesses and an arrest warrant. Let's move on. Mr. Trump said in one of his speeches, "We will again be one people under one God, under one flag." That was an inspirational moment for me, and I made a meme out of it. And I want to talk a little bit about God here. You think God is concerned about America? I do. Let's pause. Pause. Put on your oxygen masks and spacesuits, because we are going to 200,000 feet. I want to discuss the notion of God, of a supreme creator, of a loving being who allows us to learn by our mistakes, who has kind of left us here on our own in a playpen called Earth to learn to get along. I may lose some of you, but that's fine. That's okay. Did you know that the Pentagon has a remote viewing department? We are talking about, remote viewing, yeah. I use that as an example of metaphysics in action, and the list of paranormal activities is very long. If you don't believe in God, I get it. You look around and you see what religions have produced in the name of God, and you think, that's not for me, and I would not blame you. But let's look at the concept of God for a minute. To not believe in a higher intelligence, but to believe in extraterrestrials, would that help you bridge the gap? See, if God works with highly sophisticated metaphysical principles and ETs work with highly advanced technologies, can you see whether there's a similarity there? You see, if you believe in evolution, believing in God would be a logical conclusion. Even Richard Dawkins concedes this point, and we have him on video conceding. But that's for another time. Let's break this down. Let's break it down. What have we been able to achieve in the sciences over the last 500 years? Look at our technology. Look at our advances in medicine, in genetic engineering, in advanced physics. Look at the people who have honed their spiritual gifts and talents, who can heal, who can view remotely. What about projecting forward into the future a little? Let's say 500 years. Let's ask, if we achieved this much in the last 500 years, what could we accomplish in the next 500 years? 5,000 years? 500,000 years? 5 million years? You see where this leads us? If you are a scientist in the year 4000, let's say, and you were given the task of terraforming another planet, introducing biological life forms in another planet, would you use evolution starting at zero, at square one, with monocellular organisms? Or would you use genetic engineering? Just think about that. Imagine if the Apostle Peter was able to walk on water for a few seconds during a storm. What could be possible if we only knew how it is done? What are the preconditions? What are the operative spiritual laws? What kind of faith does it take? What kind of righteous living does it take to raise the dead, to make the blind see? I just read the other day that David Rockefeller, at age 99, just had his 6th heart transplant. See, 100 years ago, this would have been unimaginable. Are you still with me? So let's look at the vast universe. What are the odds that we are the only populated inhabited planet? Given enough time and enough learning and enough experience, hit and miss experience, where could we end up? What are our limitations? From my personal experience, I want to attest that there is a way to communicate with God. There have been too many miracles in my life to deny the existence of God. For us, it may seem impossible, but so would the NSA or the IBM mainframe seem impossible for people 1,000 years ago. I hope this helps some of you who are agnostic. I don't think it will help atheists. You'll just dig your heels deeper, I know. Because you only believe when you have physical proof, which would really defeat the whole purpose if God appeared to you, because then you would have hard evidence and would not be able to exercise that essential and powerful force we call faith. See, the ability to believe and act on the feelings and impressions evidenced within each one of us without the use of our natural senses is where it's at. And this takes me back to the proposition that God has a stake in America. America is not just an experiment. America is the last bastion of freedom in this little planet where a battle is being waged between good and evil, between God and Lucifer. One final note, I have published the little handbook, once again, called Millennial America. Subtitle is Reinventing Democracy. It's not thick, it's very affordable. You can get it as an ebook, download only, not as a paperback, from the following website, myamerica.win. One click and you're there. Till next time, God bless America. God bless Mr. Trump.